Israel used a combat laser against militant missiles? True or false? Israel's preparing to use laser systems against missiles launched by Hamas militants for the first time in the world. Israeli war correspondent Hillel Bitten-Rosen wrote this on social media X, formerly Twitter, on Saturday, October 14th. Israel is preparing, much earlier than originally planned, to deploy for the first time in the world for operational testing a laser system that can help intercept missiles launched toward our country, the columnist wrote. And the next day, on October 15th, the videos already appeared on the web, which allegedly depicts the work of the new Israeli laser weapon, Iron Beam in Hebrew, Karen Berzel, with the help of which a missile from the Gaza Strip was intercepted. This is the first time I've seen it. It's the Light Shield, or Iron Beam. Israel has announced the system, but has not yet shown it seems, a journalist from Israeli state TV channel Kan 11 later wrote, citing his sources in Israel's security services. In this video, we'll analyze this information in detail and tell you what prospects this new weapon system opens for Israel. Spoiler, there will be unexpected conclusions. The idea of using a directed beam of light against targets in the air and on surfaces has long been discussed by scientists and the military. Several points are attractive in it. First, the speed of flight. The laser beam reaches the target almost instantly, therefore there's no need for complex targeting systems. You just need to visually aim the laser system at the target without any corrections for the movement of the target. This also applies to highly maneuverable targets. In any case, the light beam will be immobile and can be shot as in a shooting gallery. Secondly, cheapness. The cost of firing a laser is estimated at $3 to $4 compared to the tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars that any anti-aircraft missile costs. And $3 to $4 is even less than the cost of a cup of coffee at Black Fox Coffee in Lower Manhattan. For example, a primitive Qassam missile, which Arab militants fire at Israel and which they assemble almost on their knees in garages, costs a couple $100s. A Tamir anti-aircraft missile from the Iron Dome missile defense system costs around $80,000, and in total, one shot costs Israel over $100,000. That is, to launch 100 Qassams, militants spend at best $20,000, and Israel to destroy them $10 million. If laser missile defenses are put on alert, this dismal arithmetic for Israel will change dramatically. And finally, third, laser missile defenses are more difficult to overload. Now, during the current large-scale Arab-Israeli war, we have repeatedly witnessed Arab missiles penetrating the Iron Dome and hitting the Israeli cities of Ashdod and Ashkelon, as well as David Ben Gurion International Airport near Tel Aviv. Although the fact that the Iron Dome could be penetrated was well known long before these tragic events, for example, during Operation Black Belt on November 12 to 21, 2019, launched by Israel after the Israeli Air Force killed Baha Abu al-Atta, one of the leaders of the Palestinian radical group Islamic Jihad in the Gaza Strip. About 1,300 missiles were fired at Israel during the operation. About 80% of the missiles were intercepted. Afterward, the military predicted in the event of a major conflict, 1,500 missiles a day would be fired at Israel. The Iron Dome would not be able to cope with such a load, and the entire stockpile of missiles would be exhausted. In reality, on October 7, 2023, Hamas fired more than 2,200 missiles into Israel from the Gaza Strip. As a result, at least 5 people were killed. The fact is that one Iron Dome launcher has 20 Tamir missiles in it. After their use, it takes several hours to reload it. During this time, the sector that the battery protects becomes virtually defenseless. The laser, on the other hand, fires all the time. It doesn't need to recharge. What it does need is a source of electrical power, but this is solved by installing a powerful generator and enough diesel to fuel it. There's another advantage of lasers over anti-aircraft missiles. It turned out that the Iron Dome is difficult to shoot down targets that fly from a distance of less than 4 kilometers, that is, at the time of the attack, low over the horizon. For the laser to hit such targets is not very difficult. But of course, the Iron Beam also has its disadvantages. The main one is that any laser system can hit targets in ideal weather conditions. Fog or dust sharply reduces the effectiveness. The second disadvantage is the low range. So far, Iron Beam can hit targets at a distance of up to 10 kilometers, again, only in clear weather. For the first time at the exhibition, Israel showed a prototype of the future Iron Beam system in 2014. It was a 50-kilowatt unit on a vehicle chassis. It could hit targets at a distance of 5 to 7 kilometers. Developers were constantly working on increasing the power of the system and the efficiency of its control. Iron Beam was adopted for service, but the use has not yet been heard of. The development of the Iron Beam accelerated dramatically against the backdrop of the growing threat of high-precision missiles from Hezbollah and Operation Northern Shield in December 2018 on the border with Lebanon. The entire laser weapons effort is coordinated by the Armament and Technology Development Directorate, headed by Danny Gold. The cost of the program is several billion shekels, or less than $1 billion. In the second half of April 2022, the Israeli company Rafael, the developer of the famous Iron Dome missile defense system, successfully tested the Iron Beam. Although there's no exact data on the characteristics of the laser installation, most experts assume that its power was about 100 kilowatts and the range of target engagement up to 10 kilometers. In early May this year, the Iron Beam laser combat system was demonstrated in Singapore at the IMDEX Asia 2023 exhibition. There it was revealed that Rafael has developed 2 Iron Beam models, a land-based and a ship-based model. The land-based version is mounted on wheeled vehicles and has a laser power of up to 500 kilowatts. The ship version is designed to protect naval targets from air attacks and has a lower laser power up to 100 kilowatts. Therefore, when it was written about the power of 100 to 150 kilowatts, it was obviously about the naval modification. Or we have to assume that in a year, the Israelis were able to raise the power by 5 times. But this is hardly believable. The company Rafael published a video showing successful tests of the land-based version of the Iron Beam, which took place a year ago. The footage shows the laser hitting the drone and the missile's warhead. Note that if the 500 kilowatt figure is correct, it means that Israel has become the leading country in the world in the development of laser weapons. After all, the U.S. is still talking about a laser power of 300 kilowatts. And traditionally, little is known about the level of achievements in this field in Russia and China, but these countries at least have not declared about 500 kilowatts. The Keren Barzel complex includes 2 trucks with containers containing laser units. A high-power solid-state laser is used. It has a radar station for target detection. The command center is responsible for the interaction of the components of the complex. According to official data, the Israeli army is going to start operating the Iron Beam in 2024. However, in anticipation of this event, it became clear that the cost of a shot would not be equal to the cost of a cup of coffee. If you carefully calculate the cost of all the necessary equipment and its amortization, the price jumps to $2,000. So it'd still be cheaper to go to Black Fox Coffee. Still, it's 50 times less than the cost of a Tamir shot. According to the Israeli concept, the laser anti-missile system will work in conjunction with the Iron Dome. The main purpose of this complex is to neutralize ultra-small range objects, including missiles as well as other threats, such as artillery shells and mines, which are too small and fast to be intercepted by another component of the missile defense system, Iron Dome. So have the Israelis used their Keren Barzel already in real combat conditions or not? Israeli journalist Itay Blumenthal reported an hour after the sensational video appeared that security sources did not confirm the use of the Iron Beam missile defense system. Even later, it was reported that it was a video from a computer game. The laser beam itself is not visible in the sky. It operates in the ultraviolet range and is not as colorful in use as the laser beams of light show. It was followed by rebuttals from other Israeli journalists. Some said it was again a computer game. In others, such a narrow, bright strip of light was formed as a result of the detonation of the anti-missile Tamir. They say that the flash from the explosion illuminates the trail of other missiles and causes glare on the poor camera of the shooter. Nevertheless, taking into account the growth of threat options from the air, the Israeli military and scientists have intensified their efforts to mobilize the Army Iron Beam, and according to local media, one way or another, one day this system will be officially deployed and tested. These general expectations made the false start possible. But we note that there was no official denial of the work of the Iron Beam, so maybe Keren Barzel was tested in real conditions, and references to a computer game or an optical effect are a way to hide the truth? But why would the Israeli authorities hide the use of the Iron Beam? If only because the tests were unsuccessful. After all, in the sensational video, we see two bright, narrow streaks of light, but we do not see that there was a destruction of the target. By the way, then what flash from the explosion illuminated the trail of other missiles? There was no explosion. So why make the enemies happy with your failure? It's easier to say that there was no use of the iron beam, that it's all a journalist's fantasy. In all likelihood, we won't know the truth now, but it's undeniable that laser weapons are about to become a reality, since there's no alternative to it. From the point of view of the military-political Israeli establishment, the capabilities of the Iron Dome anti-missile system are exhausted. Unlike cannons and missiles, laser weapons will not announce themselves loudly, but that's even better. Imagine the psychological effect on the enemy. In complete silence, their missiles would explode one after another. We're sure that such a miracle won't be long in coming. What do you think about Israel's laser missile defense weapon? Will it protect Israelis from Arab militants' missiles? Write in your comments below. If you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up as your thanks for our hard work. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. There will be many more interesting videos about modern weapons.